Hello everyone, Gaara here and welcome to the third episode of my Kobolds and Catacombs card review. And without further ado, let's get right into it. The very first card I want to talk about is the Mage class minion Raven Familiar. It is a 2-mana 2/2 beast, battlecry, reveal a spell in each deck. If yours costs more, draw it. I find this card extremely interesting. Especially today I was playing a lot of Kazakus Mage and I really wanted to fit in Curator, and you notice very quickly that there's not many good beasts that you can play in Mage. There's only the Golakka Crawler and the Wasp, and you don't really want to play the Wasp and you don't really have access to other good beasts. Just in general, there's just very few options for Curator for all the neutral classes to choose from, and it is very cool to have beast for Mage. It's not just cool that this card is beast, this is something I really wanted to see more by Blizzard, just adding new tribals to cards just so we can improve the deck building more. Yeah, this card would be already interesting if it wouldn't be a beast, but just having the beast tag on top of it just makes this card so much more interesting in my opinion, even though Mage doesn't do so much with beasts in general. We've seen a lot of cards for 2 mana that draw a card that see a lot of play already in the game. The Razakus Priest is even playing Navis Engineer, which is a 2 mana 1/1. We see a lot of Loot Hoarders being played in such decks as well. And Archaeologist is one of the best Mage cards we are playing right now, and this card isn't too far off of it. So if you look at this card being a 2 mana 2/2 draw card, and then it is actually pretty powerful, and Mage has a lot of expensive spells. Yes, it has like a joust effect to it, which doesn't make it like that awesome because of the RNG aspect to it, but maybe you do like some crazy decks where you only play Violence Portals or like very expensive spell like Violence Portal, Flame Strike and Pyroblast, so you pretty much are guaranteed to win the jousts. And this card could replace, like, let's say a Loot Hoarder in a Freeze Mage or whatever. Anyways, I think this card is amazing. Not a big fan of the RNG aspect of it, but I like the beast tag, I like the artwork, I really like it in Mage, and it fits in a lot of different control Mage type of decks. I don't think this card is that great in like a more aggressive Mage, just because of the stats. You want to play like more aggressive stats in a like a tempo based Mage deck, but I really like this card a lot, and yeah, I can't wait to play it myself. The next card we have is the Rogue Legendary. It is a 3 mana 2/2 Zola the Gorgon, Battlecry, choose a friendly minion, add a golden copy of it to your hand. So with this already we see that Blizzard really wants to push the fun aspect of the game. Yeah, you get a golden copy of a card to your hand, so the game is no longer pay to win, since with this card, even though it's a legendary, we get golden cards to your hand. Wow. A lot of people are saying you can play this card together with the Prince Khalisev in curve. You know, you play the Prince and then you double shadow step the Prince, and then you play the Zola the Gorgon. Obviously we top deck him, and then he's a 4/4. And then we play him and we can shadow step the Prince once again. Isn't that amazing? Then you can pull a 5/5 patches afterwards with your South Sea Captain. Isn't that awesome? I can't wait to lose to that on ladder. But besides that, I think this card is decent. Most of the Rogue Legendaries are all powerful cards, and even though they're all powerful, most of them don't even see play because they just don't fit in a specific Rogue deck. I can see this card being played as a tech card in all sorts of different Rogue decks, but I wouldn't be surprised if this card doesn't make the cut just because it's not good enough. The next card we have is the Lone Champion. It is a neutral minion. It is a 3 mana 2/4 Battlecry. If you control no other minions, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. The very first thing what I thought when I saw this card is it is a very good card for Control Paladin. You already played Wickerflame Burn Bristle and Tar Creepers. it seems more powerful, because I think this card is probably more powerful than Burn Bristle Wicker Flame. Just, it depends on how much you value 2 extra health over the lifesteal. But yeah, Paladin doesn't have like a lot of minions before turn 3 on the board, and then having like this guy really helps you, you know, seize the board control. But as soon as we have like high health sticky taunt minions, we usually don't see those being played in control decks, but we see them being played in aggressive decks, especially with Druid. Blizzard has made Naruba Weblords and very powerful taunt minions for the Druid class with the Hydronox synergy, but the only deck where these cards were played were aggressive decks, the Aggro Druid, and I can see aggro decks running the Lone Champion now as a free drop instead of, let's say, Vicious Fledgling, just to get the board to be strong versus board clears. It's a very powerful first free drop, let's say, on the board, and then you play minions afterwards. I'm a bit skeptical. It looks like a great anti-aggro card, but in reality it might be just a very powerful free drop for aggressive decks. So that's my opinion on it, and be curious to see what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments. The next card we have is Unidentified Maul. It is a paladin weapon. It is a 3 mana weapon with 2 durability and 2 attack, and it gains a bonus effect in your hand. The bonus effects are 4 different ones. You get either a battle cry with 2 Silverhand recruits, a battle cry, give all your minions Divine Shield, give all your minions Taunt, or give all your minions +1 attack. And you get one of these effects as soon as you draw the Identified Maul. My problem with this card is that you want different effects for different situations and for different decks. If you're playing an aggressive deck, you want 2 Silverhand recruits most of the time. Divine Shield and +1 attack can be decent, and you pretty much never want the taunt. So basically, if you draw this and you get the taunt, you got unlucky. Let's say we play a mirror match. We both play Unidentified Haul. The weapon I draw gives me Silverhand recruits. The weapon you draw gives you taunt. You lose. I win. Because that's how curved decks work. And you pretty much won because of RNG, or I won because of RNG. I think it's horrible for the game. For the competitive aspect of the game, it might be fun for like casual players just because every game feels different, but just for the competitive aspect of the game, it is a horrible design and it doesn't push the competitive aspect of the game at all. It is actually pretty bad for it. The next card we have is the Druid legendary weapon Twig of the World Tree. It is a 4 mana weapon with 5 durability and 1 attack. Therefore, it'll gain 10 mana crystals. The first combo that comes to mind with this card is you play Medivh and you override this weapon immediately. You get 10 mana because you destroyed the weapon, and then with the 10 mana you play Coon, and then you play Ultimate Infestation, and then you get a 10 drop. So you have like 40-50 mana play. Pretty much you win the game. And the cool thing about this is you probably do it by turn 5, because that's how Druid works. You play Nourish into Jade Blossom, or into Innovate, Nourish into another Wildgrowth, then you play the weapon in between, whatever, then you play Medivh, and then your opponent lost the game by turn 5. Sounds cool, sounds crazy, probably horrible for the competitive aspect of the game. Druid getting another crazy card. Does Druid really need more crazy cards? That's the question. Like, the other classes seem to be getting like pretty decent, cool, okay cards. Druid just gets, for some reason, absolutely game-breaking OP cards. Let's hope that cards like Harrison Jones work against it, because, I don't know, I think this gives you just full 10 mana crystals. So if you Harrison this, the opponent has 10 mana afterwards. So the best counterplay to it could be Harrison Jones, and then the opponent just plays Isharash or whatever afterwards and wins anyway. So I'm not too sure what to think about it. It feels like this is just broken. That's my opinion on it. The next card we have is Spiteful Summoner. Battlecry, reveal a spell from your deck, summon a random minion with the same cost. There's like a lot of interesting gimmicky things you can do with this. You can play, let's say, a deck with only Pyroblast, an expensive minion, so you build like a big mage, and then you just summon like Isharash or whatever. It's like interesting for deck building. You can try to make it work. It's like impossible to evaluate the card right now just because you have to actually playtest this card to see how powerful it is. And yeah, it's like a very interesting neutral minion, cool effect. The next card we have is the Seeping Oozling. It is a 6 mana 5/4 hunter card, and on the first sight it just looks like a very weak highman and unplayable. It's like right now in most hunter decks you already cut one highman to play Deathstalker Rexar, so the 6 mana slot is pretty much the only slot for hunter where we have good cards, if you don't count cards like the Bear Shark. I mean, hunter has some decent cards, but the best cards for the 6 mana slot. And you probably want to play this card in like a meme deck together with Katarina Whisperwind as the only Death Rattle minion, let's say. Then you play the Sleeping Oozling, and then you copy Katarina. Katarina dies and you get King Crush on the board, something like that. And then if you have 2 Oozlings in your hand, you coin out Oozling, you get Katarina. Katarina summons King Crush. The second Oozling, Katarina, you get Katarina again, and then Katarina summon, I don't know, some other crazy big beast, or like a Highmane. In the worst case scenario, you just copy a Highmane. In the best case scenario, you copy Katarina. Something like that, like a new, instead of Barnes, a new big hunter RNG, somewhat RNG deck might work. I don't think this card is as bad as the community makes it look like. It's just they're not thinking about the obvious deck that you want to build this in, like a Katarina high roll deck. Could be a decent card, but you will not play it in a normal mid-range hunter deck just because of the Kindly Grandmother and Firebats and whatever you play in this deck you could copy. And the final card for today's video is the Silver Vanguard. It is a 7 mana 3/3 neutral minion, Death Rattle Recruit, and 8 cost minion. So the problem about this card is it is extremely slow because of the Death Rattle effect. I thought about it, in what kind of decks you would play it. The very closest deck where this would be playable in would be the Big Priest, just for consistency, because if you play Shadow Essence and you get it as a 5/5, it is really not that bad, because as soon as it dies, you get a Lich King, and that is extremely powerful, and all Big Priest wants is a minion to die. And the problem with Big Priest is also that you usually, if you draw bad, like you don't hit your barns, your first play, if you don't have a Lich King, is on turn 9, and that is very slow. And if you have this card in your hand, you can at least play him on turn 7 and then pull an 8 cost minion out of your deck. That actually might help Big Priest a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised seeing this card being played in Big Priest. I think it really helps the consistency of that deck. But other than that, this card just seems way too slow. For example, in Control Paladin, pulling a Tyrion with it, it's just too slow. You can't play a 7 mana 3/3 in general. But if you can cheat out this card in other ways, like let's say with Barnes, Barnes pulls this guy, and then this guy pulls an 8-drop, which is kind of OP. So pretty good in certain decks. For a neutral common card, insane. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it as always. Also make sure to check out my daily streams. Link to that is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching once again. See you guys next time. Have a nice day, and peace.